Now there are tons of changes and new features coming along the introduction of Natlan next patch, and since there's a lot to cover, let's start with the main ones. And before that, since Natlan is releasing and if you're planning to buy Welkins or other packs, you can save tons of money doing that on Loot Bar. Loot Bar offers primo gems for a much cheaper price than the in-game shop and is used by lots of players worldwide with lots of good reviews. All you have to do is click the link in the description. It'll open the website, then just select the pack you want, then enter your server and UID and you're done. Your items arrive in less than a minute. Also, newcomers get a 5% discount, so use the link and don't miss out. Firstly, there is a significant change in Genshin's artifact system, along with the release of Natlan. So starting from Natlan you will obtain an item, which is called a custom relic, and its main purpose is to let you customize one artifact. How it works could be similar to the self-modeling resin in Honkai Star Rail. For those of you who haven't played Star Rail, explained simply, you take a garbage artifact, convert it to some new type of raw material, then combine it with the custom relic we talked about, and then you can make a new artifact. Now, if we follow the leaks, how it'll function in Genshin is through this thing over here. This is something you can obtain in Natlan. As for its name, it doesn't have a confirmed name yet, so how it'll work is, you put your garbage artifacts in here, then you will get the option to either convert them into artifact upgrading potions or convert them into the custom relics we talked about earlier. And if you convert things into custom relic, then you can use the custom relic to make artifacts. Talking about making artifacts, in 5.0 you'll be able to customize all the artifacts introduced before 5.0, but not the ones in 5.0. We'll talk about those later in the video. Looking at how much you can customize, it's surprisingly still RNG dependent, as the relic allows you to choose one initial custom main stat and two initial custom substats. After that, the other two substats are totally random, along with the rolls. Now this thing does have some limitations, and it's probably going to be the cooldown, so maybe after converting things it'll enter a cooldown. The current parametric transformer in-game is a good example for this mechanic. Now that you know how it works, along with its probably long cooldown, are there other ways to obtain more custom relics? Yes, there is. You can get this material from the paid battle pass. Now hold on, you can get it from the free battle pass too. Don't worry, but yes, BP players will get an extra material. Other than the battle pass, you can get like 2 to 4 pieces from the sigil tree in Natlan. It's just like the Fountain of Lucy, and how you offer sigils as offering. Secondly, a new world level is added in-game and you need to be AR 58 to unlock it. Up till now, the max world level was world level 8, but now it's increased to level 9 and has its own benefits such as increased mobs and boss drop rates. So, now bosses will drop 3 mats at minimum and up to 4 if you're lucky. Along with this, the mob drop rates have also been buffed, and it's buffed generally for all world levels and not world level 9 alone. So Abyss Mage drops have improved by 18%. Ruin Guards drop have improved by 50%. Ruin Graders drop have improved by 25%. The Nobushi and Kairagi drops have improved by 100%. And the Spectres drops have increased by 67%. Now looking at the 3 new mechanics which will be introduced in Natlan. So these 3 mechanics pretty much have the same name called Night Soul. So there is Night Soul Bursts, Night Soul Empowerment, and Night Soul Transmission. In Night Soul Burst, when you have a Natlan character in your team, and they deal elemental damage to the enemies, this mechanic will trigger. The more Natlan characters you have in your team, the faster it'll trigger every time. The main purpose of it triggering is to trigger the effects of different artifacts and characters' talents. It's just like how Bond of Life triggered different artifact and character mechanics. The more characters you have, the faster it triggers. Here's the triggering cooldown for different number of Natlan characters in your team. Now going to the second mechanic. Night Soul Empowerment will just provide a stamina bar beside your character whenever you use your Natlan character's skill. It's basically like Scaramouche and how he has a bar beside him whenever he goes into his skill mode, and his skill ends when the bar's stamina finishes. Finally, Night Soul Transmission is basically what the name says. You know, has transmission and transmission. To put it simply, Night Soul Transmission will help you traverse around the map more easily. So, all the characters in Natlan will use these mechanics. It's just like how Bond of Life was a mechanic in Fontaine and was pretty much used throughout Fontaine. Now that you know how these mechanics work, there are going to be 2 new artifact sets in 5.0 which will heavily rely on these mechanics. The first set is called Scroll of the Embered City's Hero. In the 2-piece set, when a nearby character in the team triggers Night Soul Burst, the wearer restores 6 elemental energy. In the 4-piece set, when the wearer triggers a reaction of their element type, nearby team characters of the same type gain a 15% elemental and physical damage bonus for 10 seconds. If triggered under Night Soul effects, such as Night Soul Empowerment, gain an additional 30% damage bonus for 20 seconds. This can activate off-field, but bonuses from the same set don't stack. Now this set looks pretty solid, but it's somewhat niche as it is only good for a Natlan sub-DPS or a support character. As no other characters outside Natlan have the Night Soul mechanic, so using this artifact on them is pretty much a waste. As for the 4-piece and 2-piece effects, if using this on someone from Natlan, it should pretty much be always active when you are fighting the enemies, as you are going to be using your character's skill on enemies, so it'll fulfill all the requirements of the artifact. The second set is called the Obsidian Codex. In its 2-piece set, when the wearer is under the Night Soul effects and on the field, damage dealt is increased by 20%. In its 4-piece set effect, when the wearer consumes 10 points of Night Soul value while on the field, their crit rate is increased by 40% for 6 seconds. Now, the thing called Points of Night Soul is from the second mechanic, which gives players a stamina bar on their screen, quite similar to Wanderer. Also, consuming 10 points just means using a specific amount of stamina from there to trigger the passive. This set is pretty good for DPS characters only from Natlan, as again it uses the Night Soul mechanic. Now, these artifact sets are actually really broken, like really. For a rough general idea, if you use the artifact under perfect conditions such as using it on a Natlan character and activating all its passive, we are easily looking at almost double damage. The damage boost these artifacts provide is pretty much equivalent to a 5-star support. So Hoyoverse is pretty much trying hard to power creep everyone with the release of Natlan. So much for Otter mains maintaining the crown for the best DPS. Now addressing some more stuff, a lot of people are expecting the Pyro Archon to be a universal Night Soul support, who can extend the Night Soul's mechanic to characters outside of Natlan. Now this does sound possible as there are already tons of other Pyro DPS, but no, as per the leaks so far, she won't be a support for the Night Soul mechanic, and is rather looking forward to be more of a DPS. However, if she does end up being a support, she's probably going to be a Natlan-specific support. We gotta wait and see how that'll turn out. Talking about more things in 5.0, it's going to be the anniversary patch, so everyone is going to get anniversary rewards. It's also going to feature some QOL changes. Let's see the best and most important QOL changes coming in Natlan. 1. A prompt will be given before using special dishes to revive characters, so now you won't have to worry about accidentally using the specialty food of someone you don't have. 2. Players can skip floors 9 and 10 in the Abyss and directly claim rewards, depending on their completion status from the previous period. This will probably need you to 36-star the Abyss to automatically skip floor 9 and 10. If not, then the weaker players, who are just able to do floor 9 and 10, would just play it once and keep on automatically claiming the rewards forever. 3. During the player return event, dungeons are not subject to the usual time restrictions. For instance, dungeons that are typically open on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday will remain open throughout the player return event. This is again pretty good, as for returning players it removes the pain of waiting to building someone they like. 4. The Genius Invocation TCG introduces new special moves and the Sleight of Hand mechanic, which allows players to steal cards. 5. Local specialties have an option through which you can track them now, and they appear as blue circle icons on the map. Clicking an icon shows the quantity available in that area. They typically cluster in 1 to 4 large groups. Now learning some basics about Natlan, it's going to feature 6 different tribes, and each of them will have their own reputation system and saurian, which are mounts and can be used to travel around in Natlan. If you're wondering how these mounts look like, here are the clips from the official trailers. So far we have only seen the mounts of like 3 tribes, and we'll probably see more after the actual nation comes out. It is limited to Natlan only, just like how we can only swim in Fontanian waters and nowhere else. Also, each saurian is limited to its own tribal region, as we have talked about tribes earlier. Natlan is divided into different tribes, and each tribe has its own Saurian. So for example, you can only use Geo Saurian in Geo Tribe's region. If you leave it, the Saurian will despawn too. As of right now, there's no limit on how long you can stay in your Saurian form, so you can transform into a Saurian for as long as you want. Moving towards how the Natlan reputation system works, as Natlan has different tribes, the reputation system in Natlan is adjusted to tribal chronicles, where different tribes have different reputation system, so this could mean that you have to reach reputation level 10 with all of these tribes for lots of different rewards. While I highly doubt you have to reach reputation level 10 with all the tribes, as that would take a lot of time. But looking at it from another angle, that is exactly what would make it better, as reaching reputation level 10 with a single commission is rather quick, and after that, reputation system pretty much becomes useless, other than a mere source of mora. Doing a quick character overview, in 5.0, 3 new characters will be introduced, called Milani, Kinci, and Kachina. Now I won't cover their entire kit in this video, but we'll have a quick overview. Now all of them are a main DPS character. Milani is a 5-star Hydro, Kinci is a 5-star Dendro, and finally Kachina is a 4-star Geo. That's pretty much everything you need to know right now. I'll make videos about their kit soon. Now, looking at some extra information, first. In Natlan there are a total of 271 Pyroculi. Second, after you reach Natlan, you won't be able to convert the Traveler to Pyro, because so far there's no information of there being a Pyro Traveler, and to further strengthen that claim, usually all the other statues of 7 give a constellation for the Traveler, like Hydro statue gives Travelers Hydro constellations and so on, but in Natlan the statue just gives the quaint fates. We gotta wait and see what Hoyoverse is cooking right now. Third, the total Primo Gems you can obtain from Natlan ranges around 110 pulls for free to play, 136 pulls for Welkin users, and finally 144 pulls for Welkin plus BP users. Fourth, now there are local legends in Natlan as well, and damn are they strong. Now they are a bit different from our local bosses in Fontaine, as to access them you have to find totems on the map and click them. Also, these fights will be named Totem Challenges. Now talking about how strong they are very strong, as they can easily 1 to 2 shot you, if they feel like it. Fifth, there are now rumors going around, that from Natlan there's only going to be 1 raid up 5-star per patch. Now that most likely means that Hoyoverse switched back to single banners. Now we don't really know the credibility of this one, nor does it make any sense, because of how many characters we have in Genshin right now, single banners just aren't feasible. For now we can only wait and see if Hoyoverse shot themselves in the foot, or they are actually cooking something. Now that we have seen everything about Natlan, personally the nation looks quite interesting and really fun to say the least. But yes, Hoyoverse has actually gone all out with the power creep. Like one of the very first characters getting introduced in Natlan, Milani, is such a good DPS character. She could probably beat Novelette if built correctly. Now we can only wait and see what's more to come with future updates for now.